Hey guys, just some quick afterthoughts on the last video, and I tried to turn my mic up. I got one comment on the last one saying that the mic was too low. I hope this is better. I'll try to speak a little bit louder too, but I have increased the decibels, I think. We'll see, I guess. But there was a couple of things that I thought about after I made the last one, and I just wanted to make sure I throw it out there. So this will be really short, but and then I just wanted to also go over some of this little stuff that we didn't draw on, so that you can actually see what it is, because if you have any kind of OCD like me, you might be wondering what it is. So I'll go ahead and go over that really quick. But first thing I wanted to say was for gear, we did end up picking up, I personally picked up a sleeping pad. I don't have a picture of it. I'm not gonna draw it out, but I did pick up a sleeping pad, and that did wonders for the temperature. So when it was cold and the ground was cold, it kind of seeped directly into the sleeping bag, and that was cold for a long time. Something about the ground was, it would just go right through the bag and make me cold. But once I got that sleeping pad in Lone Pine, it stopped the temperature, and I was having nice comfy nights after that. And I would just stick that in this area right here on the outside of the pack, and it was one of those accordion style ones, and I was warm from then on, and it was great. And then I also picked up micro spikes in Lone Pine. We both did, and those were essential for the time period where we went through the Sierra Nevadas and there was a lot of ice and stuff. So they kept us pretty good. We didn't have any kind of major snowshoes or anything like that. We just picked up the micro spikes and we were all right with that. And if we were super careful, we probably could have gotten away with not having them at all. But it wasn't a bad thing to have. Probably one of the heavier things that we had, but you don't want to be slipping on the mountain. I'll tell you that much. So that's that. And then as far as the websites that we did, I'll try to put these in the description. I hope I remember that. But these are the ones that we used along the way. This was like the main site that we used. That's the main PCT website, and it's got all kinds of great stuff on it. Definitely check that out. Then this one has elevation profiles. So if you really want to go overboard and plan your travel based on how much climbing you're going to be doing that day, elevation wise, if you're here's my mountain, if you're going up a day that's all uphill that day, then you can let's put some snow up there, and a bird, always a bird. Then you can plan for that accordingly based on those elevation profiles if you really want to. It's a little bit overboard, but that's okay. And then this is real-time snow data, and what it did was it showed us historical snow data and what that looked like as far as different times of the year. So you could kind of put it on a slider and see what the weather was going to be like historically at certain places on the trail, which was kind of useful. This here was a site that had some great gear ideas and weights and all kinds of things. And this one was food. I think it has lots of good food stuff and ideas for different ways to eat. Which, by the way, we did end up bringing Snickers bars, and that was a huge thing for us. We didn't have that down. I didn't have a picture, but the calories that are in the Snickers, and the fact that they are a little bit easier to get down, despite having, they have peanuts in them. You'd think maybe it's a little bit hard to get down, but with the chocolate and caramel or whatever, for some reason they were easy to get down. I ended up getting a couple of others candy bars as well to mix it up so that it wasn't always Snickers, but Snickers had a high amount of calories, so it was great because you 4 or 5 a day, and you were replacing a lot of calories at a pretty high rate. Yeah, just wanted to make sure I added that because I didn't say it in the last one. And this is the Google Earth file for the trail itself, so that you can look at the whole trail and have a little red line so that you can see everything along the trail. And here's some of the stuff we did really quickly. Half miles notes were awesome, and this is even too much information, but I guess you can't have too much information, but this broke it down really, really well, down to the checkpoint. I mean, you see tenths of the mile here. Really, really great resource. So yeah, just Google half mile, you'll find it. We also researched closures, because there's going to be different closures each year. So what we did was we highlighted that section of the trail where the closure was, and we linked it to a map so that we could plan accordingly and go around that area. Yeah, all the closures were down in Southern California for the most part for the forest fires and whatnot. And this is a look at some of the elevation profiles, what they looked like. They had little checkpoints on them. And water points, very important water points, especially in Southern California. These water points will come in handy knowing where they're at. And there's a little picture of the airport. We didn't need that really. San Diego Airport's nice, easy to navigate. And then our main, this was I guess the bread and butter of our planning at first, was this planning. And what we did here is we would have a checkpoint number. And this was basically for our home base, so they'd know where we were planning to be each night. And this would be our starting point, southern terminus. And then this would be the distance that we were going to travel to reach the next checkpoint. So during this whole line, that would lead us to checkpoint 2. So then from checkpoint 2, and this right here meant mail point. There's going to be so many lines on this afterwards that you're probably not going to know what's happening, but that's okay. Mail point 1, you know, then we put how many miles. We had a few options here. We would put plus or minus half a mile to east or west, whatever. And then that trek, basically each one of these lines was like a different trek that we would, you know, we would break it up like that. Yeah, I'm not going to bother going through every single one of these, but it made it really simple. And then we took these checkpoints and put them over on our calendar and said, you know, that way our home base knew, okay, checkpoint 1, they'll probably be somewhere around wherever we have. You know, they should be somewhere around Warner Springs or Ziggy Bear or something like that, and then we just threw those on the map. That changed pretty quickly. Those checkpoints were way too ambitious for the terrain and how much hiking shape that we were not in to start with. But that's okay. We adjusted it on the fly, and we still had all that information to use where we needed it. So yeah, we did do mail points at a couple of them. We did a buy point. We planned on having a spot where we go to the gas station, get some stuff. We planned on having a couple of buy points in here, but that's kind of how we broke it up, was MP, BP being mail point and buy point. And then there was a couple of hitch ride places too that we had to account for. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Checkpoint planning, half mile elevation. That was all I wanted to cover, just because it wasn't talked about on the first one. If you guys have any questions, obviously just go ahead and leave a comment or something. But yeah, that's it. Appreciate the likes on the last video. You know, I just do it because I'm interested in the trail and everything, and you know, the type of people that are on the trail are just terrific people. There it is. I almost made it through the whole thing without saying terrific, but that's okay. I said it. There's some great people on the trail, and some of my favorite people that I've ever met have been on the trail, so that's why I like to talk to you guys. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time, and I hope you have a great hike.